this is an ironic moment because on the one hand, I feel really, just crushed that I can't be there with you today. And I feel, it's difficult because, we've been here for, this will have been about 6 weeks, and it's just been some of the best 6 weeks of our lives. And we look forward every Sunday, or all week we look forward to Sunday. And so not being able to be with you is a real, it's a real bummer. But the irony is that I spent all week thinking about, and this message, which is going to be about being grateful in all circumstances. And I need to practice that today. I need to practice learning to be grateful in all circumstances. This series that we've been in, and this series that we're ending today, it's called Bloom. And if you're new or you're just joining us, or maybe you missed a couple of the weeks, it's really been a series about opening our hearts, opening ourselves up to life, to this gift of life. And the flower has really been our primary symbol. And the interesting thing is that when a flower, the more it opens up, the more vulnerable it becomes. The sun opens the flower, and the flower then is now open to be pollinated by bees, and from that point it'll bear fruit. But it's also in this state where it's exposed, and it's because it's so beautiful, maybe someone will come along and pick it. So it's like the more open we become, the more vulnerable we naturally must become. It's the same way with our eyes. If you think about our retinas, the more light that we let in, the more that the retina opens up, just like the lens of a camera, the more light that is let in, the more of everything that is let in. It's the same way with our hearts. We can't just open up to the good and close off to the bad. The more we open up, the more we open up to everything, which I understand the difficulties of. It's hard having a sensitivity and feeling all of it. And I can understand why sometimes in life it's easier to just kind of numb ourselves, because it can be really challenging to feel everything. I'll give you an example of what it's been like for me this week. And the interesting thing is that this week I've had to really go through and experience all the feelings and all the lessons of this series really have been taught to me again, really in just the last few days upon getting this COVID diagnosis. The first week of our Bloom series, we talked about understanding that we are rooted to one another, to life. And trees have this visual component where we can see their roots entering into the ground and receiving nourishment from the earth. And we also learned that trees, through their roots, are connected to one another, and they're talking to one another, and they're sharing with one another. And yet often we forget that we are connected to the world and to each other in all these ways that we maybe just aren't able to see. And one of the most profound ways that we are connected to one another is through love and community. So when I first found out that I was positive, and Olivia was positive with COVID, it was just very discouraging. But very quickly, people from this community encouraged us and told us, whatever you need, we'll be there for you, and Sunday we'll help you in any way that we can. And it just instantly reminded me of how we are rooted. And then, week 2, we talked about embracing ourselves, embracing the unique ways that we show up, the unique flower that you are. And, and again, realizing that I wasn't going to be able to do today in person, I had a bit of a crisis because, I've been so thrilled to be with you every week, and it's been a part of, this journey of moving here, and in some ways you start to build your identity and think, well, this is who I am, and this is who I need to be for everyone, and I can't fulfill that this week, and it becomes so crushing. And then I have to remember to love myself, to accept myself as I'm showing up in this moment, to love and accept COVID Jake just as much as Pastor Jake. And that can be hard to do, but I think it's a beautiful thing when we can accept whatever we're bringing at any moment. And then week 3, last week, we talked about embracing what is happening in front of us and realizing that the root word for happy and happen are the same. It's the same root word. It's the root word hap. And so what if happiness is really just being okay and content with what happens? And I felt that too, because I was, driving, or yesterday, in fact, I was getting prepared for today and looking out the window, and it was a beautiful sunny day. And yet I'm in my head thinking about all the things that I need to do to get ready for today and to make sure that today can still happen on Zoom and all that. And I'm just in my mind making myself miserable. And yet I'm looking out and it's just a gorgeous day and the birds are still chirping and everything's just quite all right. And I realized that if I could just get through what I'm going through and be okay with what's happening, maybe I could find my way back to a sense of happiness. So I had to go through this whole series in the last day. And it's been a challenge for me, but it's been rewarding because I've been reminded of all these lessons. And so today what we're going to talk about is through all that and in opening up, just being grateful for everything, being grateful for life itself, taking the good with the bad, understanding that the things that we maybe aren't so inclined to be grateful for in the moment end up being things that later on in life we find value in, we understand the lessons that they taught us. Think about those moments in your life where you just felt grateful to be alive. You just looked around and you thought, wow, I am so lucky, I'm so fortunate just to have life, just to be here. Those moments aren't always good moments. Sometimes there's moments of relief of something that you maybe just narrowly avoided, or you're looking back at something difficult that you went through. A couple years ago was invited to go mountain biking. And I don't know if if you've spent enough time with me, you might be able to tell that I'm not a natural, I'm not a born athlete. I'm not a natural mountain biker, outdoorsy guy. I try, I may dress a little bit like but that's the Pacific Northwest thing. I'm not actually a super outdoorsy guy. I like hiking, but anyway, that's not the point. Point is that I got invited to go mountain biking, and I was pretty terrified because I've never done it before. And these friends of mine who invited me, they wanted to go to a ski hill that in the summer becomes a mountain biking hill. So you essentially get lifted up to the top, and then you're just going downhill the whole way. And it's like, this is not a beginner's mountain biking thing, and yet this is the thing that I'm learning on. So I was terrified. I thought, I'm with my friends, I trust them. And so we get to the top of the hill, and I'm so scared, but I just trust my friends, and we go down, and it's just it's a beautiful summer day, and I'm doing this thing that I'm so afraid of, but I'm going so fast, I don't even have time to think about how scared I am. And then we make it to the bottom, and I just feel like, wow, I'm so grateful to have this opportunity to just see this beauty, to be with my friend, to confront this fear. It's just a great moment, an exciting moment. I just feel grateful to be alive. And then my friends say, hey, let's go back up and let's do a harder route this time. And I said, okay, all right. And so we go up and I was like, well, how much harder? They said, oh, it's just the next level. And I said, well, what's this route called? And they said, well, it's called Bone Crusher. And I was like, oh, okay, I can do this. I think I can do it. And so we go down. And instantly I'm like, this is not going to end well. I could instantly tell this isn't going to go bad. And so we're riding, and about halfway through, I take a jump way too high, and I could just, those moments where you're in slow motion, you can just see, I could just see this flat rock boulder, and I was just getting ever closer towards it, and it was just, everything slowed down, and I was just like, I don't know how this is going to end, but I'm definitely going to, me and this rock are going to meet each other, and it's not going to be good. So I end up just slamming right into this rock, and those moments where you're like, well, I'm still here, I'm still alive, but I don't really know, I can't confirm much else. So I was just laying there, and then my friends kind of rode, and they're like, Jake, are you okay? And I was like, I think I will be, I guess, and finally I was able to get up, and I was just pretty badly bruised. But in that moment also I felt, wow, I'm really grateful to be alive. I'm grateful that I didn't hit that in a worse way. So in the same day, in the same moment, you can feel grateful to be alive for two very different reasons. The dictionary definition of thankfulness is being conscious of a benefit received. Being aware that you've received something. You've received a gift. And when there's something received, there also is this sense that there's something that's been given. And so when we talk about this, maybe God is a word that comes up for you, maybe higher power, higher self. Maybe you think of the universe as the giver. Reality itself, that we're in this, we're in this life and we've been given something. And honestly, sometimes we don't really need to know. We don't, and that's really what we're going to be talking about. And so really in approaching this conversation, I know that, different people based on their backgrounds just have different experiences with the word God or different words. And so I want to just leave that open to you. Replace it with what word works for you. And I want to just introduce it with this quote by the author Peter Rollins. He says, if we imagine that our words are like arrows, then we can say that those arrows always fall short of the heavenly realm to which we are aiming them. Speaking of God is never speaking of God, but only ever speaking about our understanding of God. So humility is a great place for us to start when we're talking about things like God. The words "I don't know" were some of the most helpful words for me in my own faith evolution. Understanding that it's okay to approach, these conversations with a sense of humility, with a sense of not knowing. In fact, maybe it's the best way to approach these conversations. Hey everyone, Jake here. Thank you so much for listening to today's message. We are Aldea, a spiritual community here in Tucson, Arizona, and we're just so excited about what we do and really sharing and spreading this message, love period, which really means for us that love is our highest value beyond any doctrine or dogma. What binds us together as a community is love. And so if that's something that you're also passionate or excited about, whether or not you are local to this area, I just want to encourage you. We really thrive off of donations. And so if you like what we're about and you're enjoying this message, anything helps. We so appreciate it. All you need to do is head to loveperiod.org, scroll down, click on the donate button, and then there will be instructions there for either a one-time or a monthly gift. And I'm going to also link that right here so you can see that. And we really appreciate you listening. Now let's get back to the message. Think about the flower and its relationship to the sun, its relationship to the thing that gives it life and sustains it. The flower doesn't know anything about the sun. The flower doesn't know that the sun is 330,000 times as massive as the earth. The flower doesn't know that the sun is made up of hydrogen and helium. The flowers don't know, and we as humans didn't know for the longest time that the earth revolves around the sun and not the other way around. All that flowers have is the felt experience of life and warmth that they have as a result of the sun being there. That's it. They don't need to know. They just have the experience. I think of my dog Josie. She doesn't know my name. She might know a collection of sounds that I respond to, and she knows a collection of sounds that she responds to, but she doesn't know my name. She doesn't know what year I was born or my favorite color. She certainly doesn't know that I have COVID right now, nor does she care. And yet, every time I come home or Olivia comes home after a while, the first thing that Josie does is she runs towards us and she reaches and she jumps up and she reaches towards us and she just throws her whole body onto us. She doesn't need to know much about us. We're a lot of who we are is a mystery to her, and yet she chooses to reach towards us. And I think about how every plant, every flower is reaching to the sun. If you think about the way that trees and flowers grow, they're all about orienting themselves to put themselves in the way of the most sunlight that they possibly can be. Bloom, this whole series is about opening up to something. And it's not about having the right name or even having a name. It's just recognizing that we are being opened up, that something is opening us up. See, the sun might be a mystery to the flower. You might be a mystery to your pet. And the divine is a mystery to us. And now you might find that discouraging. I understand. Some of us, we really love to know exactly how things work. I think of it as like an engineer's mind. I want to know exactly how do things really work. But, we're entering into the realm of mystery, and sometimes it's okay not to know. There are times where Olivia and I will be watching maybe like a movie with some element of mystery or a thriller, and she'll look at me and she'll be like, wow, gosh, like I need to know who was the killer, like who was the kidnapper, and I'm like, I haven't seen this, I don't know. I think we're gonna find out. Based on the runtime of this movie, we're going to know for sure in 20 minutes. She's like, I can't, it's too intense, I need to know now. And it's like, no, I'm pretty sure we're going to find out. Or if I have seen it, I'm like, look, I think you're going to enjoy this a lot more if we just wait the 15 minutes to find out together. But sometimes in life, we just want to know. But the great thing about this mystery of source, of God, of love, is it's not about not knowing. Richard Rohr said it this way: mystery is not that which is unknowable, but it's that which is endlessly knowable. I think that's so beautiful, because when we enter into this realm, we're really not talking about intellectual knowledge. There's a difference. There's a different type of knowledge. And actually, there's a Greek word, gnosis, and it's spelled with a G, Gnosis. And it's the Greek word for knowledge, but over time, it became differentiated from the word for intellectual knowledge. So gnosis meant more of a personal, intimate knowledge, a deep knowing within, not one measured by facts and quantities. Think about this. When you think about how much you love someone in your life and you know that someone loves you, can you pull up a spreadsheet to tell me how you can justify that or quantify that? No. There's a type of knowledge that isn't intellectual. It isn't based on facts. It's based on a deep personal understanding. And I believe that that's the realm that we're talking about. We're talking about feeling grateful for being alive from something bigger than ourselves. And so I just ask you, where do you feel that? Where are the places in your life where you feel the most grateful? Is it in nature, looking around you and thinking, gosh, this is all so beautiful and it's so much bigger than me? Maybe it was this week, that Thanksgiving, when you're sitting at a table with the ones you love the most, sharing a meal and just realizing, wow, what a blessing to be with others. Maybe it's in these moments, it's here at Aldea, it's feeling supported on your spiritual journey. Or maybe it's just in those deep moments of stillness and quiet and you realize how blessed you are just to be and just accepting who you are. These are the places where I think we're able to most recognize the divine without words, without labels. And these are really the places, like if we're the flower, this is the place where the sunlight is really hitting us. And what happens? The sun hits the flower blooms, the flower can be pollinated, and from that, fruit can grow. And I think that the response of this gift of life, that our response can be to produce fruit. And Jesus said in Matthew 7:20, it's by their fruit you will recognize them. And he's referring to this sense that really the right name for God, the right religion, these things are not important. What's important is the quality of your life. It's what comes out of you. It's who are you, not what labels you use, what names you use. Because what's more fruitful than a person who is grateful regardless of circumstances? I think all other fruits of life really flow from this. Peace, love, joy, they all come from a sense and an appreciation for what's right in front of us. And in a way, gratitude is the deepest form of love, because it's really just a love for what is. It's a love for reality. It's a love for what is right in front of you. And like any fruit, gratitude can be cultivated. It can be worked at. How do we do that? Well, what if we could remind ourselves to be grateful even when it's a situation that doesn't normally evoke gratitude? For me, this is what I've had to work through. Today, I mean, it's normally, people aren't saying, oh, well, thank you for COVID, but I have to already ask myself, what is this teaching me? What is this moment teaching me? See, we have these difficult times in life. We face loss, we have obstacles, we face changes of plans. We're like, I worked so hard, and then what? I did A plus B, it's supposed to equal C. I did all the steps, I did all the right things, and yet life doesn't always meet us the way that we think it's going to. And it's easy to go, why? Why? Why is this happening? It's not fair. What if we could shift our perspective to thank you? Thank you for what this is teaching me. It's not always easy to feel that in the moment. That's completely understandable. But what's interesting is that when you look back at your life, when you think about those most difficult times, how many of them, when you actually look back, would you say, gosh, in the moment, it was the hardest thing, but if I was given the choice now, I wouldn't change it because what it taught me was invaluable. I don't know who I'd be right now if those most difficult moments hadn't happened. And those most difficult moments also teach you that it's not always going to be like that you always make it through and there's something on the other side. And at the same time, when things are great, when things are easy, when things are just flowing, you can stop and remember it's all a gift. Because you can remember those hard times, remembering that you made it through, and it's even more fuel to just enjoy the moment that you're in. This series really has been about opening, about becoming, about being more engaged with life. Whatever the bloom might be for you, there's these different circumstances and different situations in life where life is opening you up. It's not always pretty, it's not always easy. But when you make it through, you realize that it's even in the difficult moments that you really become who you are. And you can be grateful even for those. So I want to do something a little different today. And it's definitely something that I was hoping to be able to do with you in person. But we are going to make it work anyway. We're going to take communion together today. And now if you are in the building, I want to invite you to start getting communion ready. And if you are joining us on Zoom, what I want to invite you to do is this. Communion is all about, it's a symbol. It is it's something that we do that represents something. And so you may not have the exact perfect substitute for the elements, but I just want to encourage you, if you just want to take a brief moment right now and grab a cracker or a bagel or a bit of a piece of bread or a donut and some juice or some coffee, anything to represent the bread and the cup. I just want to invite you to do that really quick. And what I want this to be is really a moment for us to take this idea of gratitude and to really feel it, to embody it. Now, based on your history, you may have grown up with communion and you might either be like, wow, I really enjoy this. I understand it as a ritual and as a sort of ceremony that we do. Or you might think, wow, I was so glad to leave communion behind. And I just want to just help reframe it for you a little bit. Jesus takes the cup. He's sitting at a table, much like we all sat at this past Thursday. He's sitting at a table with his closest friends, and he takes this cup, and he basically says, I'm with you. This bread and this cup, I'm with you always. The bread and the cup are ways for us to understand that the divine isn't elsewhere. For a lot of us, we've thought of God as something far off and away. And the cup and the bread are ways of us remembering that it's here, it's now, it's tangible. It's as tangible as the grapes that made the juice and the wheat that made the bread. So what we're going to do is we're going to play a song. It's a song of really gratitude and appreciation for this world and this life that we're in. And during this next song, I just want to give you an opportunity to grab and to take those elements at your own timing and just have a moment with yourself of being grateful for whatever it is. Maybe it's being grateful for a difficult time that you just got through. Maybe it's being grateful for some blessings that are in your life. But just take a moment of gratitude and remember that the divine is right there meeting you in that gratitude. And may you experience that and taste it in the bread and the cup today.
I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and you, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I see skies of blue and clouds of white, a bright, blessed day, the dark, sacred night, and I think to myself,